shot.
I really wasn't sure about this movie when I first saw the trailer, and then I was like, you know what, this might actually be decent. Sure, it's not the typical type of Marvel movie, but it might have something going for it. Oh no. I hate when movies do this. I don't know if this is a good sign or not, but if you make me start off with a whole bunch of stuff to read, and then it never seems to end, you're off to a bad start. I couldn't help but think that all this block of text was in and of itself a movie that was probably supposed to introduce the characters that we get to know in the movie. It really feels incomplete, like we're getting the second chapter to a story that had been told already, or we're the late fans, we're the people who are walking in late to the movie theater when like 50 minutes has passed by already, half the movie is gone, and I don't think that's the right way they should have done it. This is something that DC would do, and I'm honestly kind of shocked that Marvel decided to do this. You know, seeing that that's not their usual formula. We start off with this weird ship that's passing by the sun heading towards Earth. This big bionicle looking dude drops a gold orb that goes into the neck of one of these people. I kept thinking to myself, man, that woman looks like Salma Hayek, and not even realizing until after I watched the movie that it indeed was her. But for some reason, the delivery and some of the lines that they do are just so freaking weird.
It is time.
It is time.
They all glow like fairies, and the glowy things end up sewing their lackluster suits that seem very desaturated, and there are so many of them, so not only are there so many people, so it's hard to keep track of them, but their colors all like meld into each other because they're so dull, so it's even harder to keep track of them.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Okay.
No, seriously, the way Robb Stark answers, it's like he didn't even hear a word she just said.
Beautiful, isn't it?
I'm Icarus.
I'm sassy.
I find it very hilarious because that's the guy who played Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. Jon Snow is also in here as her human boyfriend, and her name is Cersei, and there's kind of like a love triangle between them. It's so freaking wrong. So anyways, these things, these humans, people are sent to Earth, 5000 BC Mesopotamia, where a bunch of people on the shore get attacked by a deviant. They're saved by Homelander, aka Superman, and the Flash, who's deaf for some reason, and all the heroes come to fight the monsters. I actually love Angelina Jolie's character. The people are at first freaked out when they see this alien ship appear before them. Then we get a slow pan of all the different characters and like little things, like little instances of what they can do, specifically the ones that were not shown in the fight actively, and the one who can heal herself, the leader, Ajak. Then they all pose perfectly like a flock of geese for their album cover, so we can see all of the characters. And honestly, it feels like this should have been a TV series, because these were a lot of characters, and you could have covered an episode. Let's see, how many are there? 10 Eternals. You could have covered 10 episodes covering each of the characters. There is a whole movie's worth or trilogy's worth of story that could have been told of the Eternals. They did it for Guardians of the Galaxy. What's going on here? And even though Guardians of the Galaxy kind of started off from kind of like a second chapter type of thing, we as the audience still got the idea and the backstory of the characters because of how they were presented and how they met each other. I mean, it was still fun enough and bright enough that it was easy to see the characters and differentiate them and get their backstory as we went along. And then they had more movies. But this is a lot of freaking characters. I don't even remember half of their names. I know Dinesh from Silicon Valley. I love him. From the left to the right, we have Dinesh. What does he do again? Wow, I don't even know what he does. I think his name is Ringo or Kingo. Anyways, he does something. Fuck if I know. She's the Flash, can run super fast. This guy's basically kind of like the Hulk. He's super strong. His name is Gilgamesh. Angelina Jolie's character is Thena, or Athena, the goddess of war. She can form fighting weapons, like melee fighting weapons, out of thin air. Icarus can fly, aka Robb Stark. It doesn't take long to figure out that since his name is Icarus, at some point he's gonna fly too close to the sun. The leader, Ajak or Ajak, she can heal herself and heal others. Cersei can manipulate matter, like change water into feathers and crap. She can probably turn her shit into like rosebuds and make them smell really good. Sprite, who I thought was a boy at first, is the youngest of the group and is made to look like a child for some reason. And she also does illusions. I would have called her Jailbait because I'm like, what if she, like, it makes herself look like a grown person and then someone falls in love with her and goes home with her and she's like, psych, just kidding. And then they go to jail. I think his name is Fastos. I don't remember. They don't even show him that much in the freaking movie. He's the engineer and he can make basically any type of machinery. And this dude has mind control. He can control bodies. Basically, if you're like, no, I don't want to, and he wants to, he's gonna make you do it, regardless whether you want it or not. Kind of like what Wanda did in the TV show WandaVision. Jeez, I wore myself out just explaining all of that.
Universal victory, the return of half our population, and thank God there she is.
If you're wondering, yes, Jon Snow still knows nothing, and he never amounts to be anything, at least not in this movie. He's literally just the side piece that Cersei ends up having because she can't have Robb Stark, aka Icarus. While she takes over and starts teaching the kids at the museum, there's an earthquake and everyone starts freaking out. And I keep thinking to myself, wow, that's not even a large earthquake. Like, so jaded of that. That wasn't a common occurrence where I came from. We were just like, oh, earth shaking. Everyone get on your desk all bored like crap. It's kind of like a power outage, just waiting for it to be over. And then you're like, God damn it, I hope it doesn't last for like a whole minute or two. All right, it's done now. We just resume where we left off. Nobody's shaken up, nobody's scared. But I can imagine it's not a common occurrence for them, so maybe that's why they're all freaked out about it. Cersei takes extra care and she ends up using her powers to protect someone. When a big thing is about to fall on them, she turns it into a bunch of dust. Hope that wasn't expensive. Just saying, she had time to like pull the child out. She's strong enough to do it, so that was weird. And for a while, there haven't been any deep... Uh-oh. So the puppy comes face to face with a deviant. All the Eternals thought they had killed off the deviants a long time ago. And now here is one right in the freaking city. It's really hard to watch Jon Snow, and I keep calling him Kit Harington, Jon Snow. Everyone knows him as Jon Snow. Be honest, nobody knew him before that. So it's hard to watch him playing roles like this, anything outside of a fantasy RPG-ish Witcher type of role, because he just looks so... He looks like the embodiment of what they did to him in season 8 of Game of Thrones. Just saying. And then knowing what we know, of course, once again, his brother, Robb Stark, gets everything he wants except for the freaking Red Wedding. Funny enough, both of the characters end up playing exactly the same role they end up playing by the end of Game of Thrones, which is very sad and hilarious at the same time. We see somebody flirting with a redhead, and this guy goes to touch this girl's hand, his hand like falls right through her hand. And she's like, you've had a lot to drink. Turns out this girl is actually an illusion that was made by Sprite, the child. Which I'm like, okay, this big godlike thing, Arishem, that looks like a Bionicle, made all these people, made these Eternals to go and protect mankind. Why the frick would he make one of them a child? And why the hell would one of them be deaf? Like, seriously, I am all for inclusion. I am one of the most inclusivity people you will ever meet. I love everyone. However, if you are putting it in a story and it doesn't make sense, it looks cringe. Someone said that the speedster of the group, who happens to be the deaf one, is deaf because she's faster than the speed of sound. Which I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But see, that in and of itself, that is why this movie needed a TV show, because I would like to have that explained. Why on earth would a superhero or an Eternal, something that is made to protect mankind, be made with a disability? Most of the people on Earth can't understand sign language. And what kind of sign language is it? And if she was an Eternal and she lived so long ago, wouldn't you have implemented that within cultures? Like, it's just weird. Then making one a child, and after being on Earth for a while, this god made these Eternals with human feelings, or with the potential to have human feelings. Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's continue. Sprite is going through her own little problems, not being able to love people the way everybody else does because she's a freaking kid or she looks like one. At the risk of sounding gross, why would that even matter? If she lived as long as she did and she's not even from Earth, why would humans' morality be her morality? And the days that she came into be were a long time ago when, unfortunately, for female children, they were mated at a very, very young age. So it only makes sense that she would recently feel like this when she's living in America. Why wouldn't she have her life somewhere else where she can marry and fall in love with older people? It's gross, I know, but it's not like there aren't places still in the world that allow you to do that. Maybe it's because she wouldn't have rights there and then she'd end up hurting them. But she could literally be worshipped as a goddess. There's just so many things that just don't make sense about her character being a child. I'm gonna make a whole bunch of Eternals, and I'm gonna make one of them really small for some reason. It just, what? Another thing I think of is if she's so freaking thirsty, because remember, she's not actually a kid. She's lived for thousands and thousands of years. I mean, they're out there. What does she do when she finds someone who's actually interested in her as she is? She's not even gonna want to be with that person because it's freaking gross. Also, she doesn't act like an adult in a child's body. You know who did that way better? Number 5 from Umbrella Academy. The way that guy portrayed it, you actually feel like he's older than he is. It also helps that the guy playing him actually acts like that in real life, like an old man in a child's body or a young person's body. The person who plays Sprite, though, is not selling that to me. She doesn't feel like she's been alive for thousands of years. Cersei has issues with Jon Snow. He wants them to move in together. She doesn't. I know the only reason a woman would want to do that is because she's still hung up on her Chad. He tells her that Sprite actually told him everything, although you can see he doesn't really believe it, but Sprite did tell him that Cersei and her boyfriend Icarus, aka Robb Stark, broke up a century ago, even though it turns out they were actually married. See, they're not supposed to tell people that they're Eternals or that they have powers, which is weird because they acknowledge that there are already superheroes in the world. So it feels like they kind of wrote that they're supposed to be silent because how do you explain not knowing about them in all the other Marvel movies? I know, right? Very strange. I'm sorry. If this is how it was actually written in the comics, it makes no freaking sense. Then it turns out that the deviants that they thought they killed a long time ago, there are still deviants. And one comes after them, and now Jon Snow believes. Run! That's when Cersei uses her power in front of Jon Snow. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep calling him Jon Snow, I don't care. And he's like, I thought you killed all of them. And she's like, Sprite told you that too? And I would be all weirded out about Jon Snow not being surprised about this, but you gotta remember, as he mentioned earlier in the movie, there are other people out there that have superpowers. Half the population was snapped away by, oh wait, another deviant. But they're gonna explain why Thanos wasn't taken care of. Then some weird stuff starts happening, like the deviant can heal itself, it's able to pick up where Sprite is, even though she has a bunch of illusions around. Also, it seems as though the deviant is particularly targeting the Eternals, where they used to kill off the humans before. Then the most awkward part comes in, and I was telling my partner, I'm like, yep, she still wants her partner's D. She's not over him. Then I start hearing Taylor the Fiend's videos echoing in my head, and we all know what it is. Jon Snow is the rebound. You see, when you're a guy that likes a girl and she doesn't want to move in with you, and then her ex shows up and he walks like that and acts like that and looks like that, break up with the girl. Just do yourself a favor. Obviously, there's no competition, and she still is putting you guys in competition. Clearly. And the way she looks at him, she's constantly undressing him with her eyes.
Evening, ladies.
Oh, and also, he left her. She didn't break up with him. He left her. So, yeah. I feel so bad for Jon Snow having wasted all that time. And anyways, Icarus comes, but he doesn't end up killing the deviant because it can heal itself.
Did it just heal itself?
This is specifically what their leader, Ajax, could do. I just thought at this point these creatures are evolving, because that's what always happens when you have monsters. Want to keep them scary, keep them evolving. So if they ever make a Quiet Place 3, please, let's give us something else. Monsters can see, those are just the little tiny monsters, and there's something worse coming. Now that the deviants are back, everyone has to go and freaking assemble together again to defeat the deviants. There's an awkward interaction with the Stark brothers.
I'm Dane.
Hello, Dane.
Well, I guess you must be the pilot.
Jesus Christ. Needless to say, Cersei has some explaining to do, and she tells her boyfriend Dane, aka Jon Snow, that they're Eternals. They come from a planet called Olympia. They arrived on Earth 7,000 years ago on their ship called the Domo. Their job and purpose was to protect the humans on Earth from the deviants, or the monsters. And she says she thought that they killed them all off 5 centuries ago, but apparently that's not the case. During her telling Dane this, he acts like the most weird. Oh god, it's so embarrassing. He tries to play it off and is like, you know, if you don't want to move in, you could just say so. I'm just disappointed that you're not a wizard, and you know, I really want to be a giraffe. And I'm like, dude, what? No wonder she's not into you like that. Like, it's such there's a thing with guys, and it's really adorable, but for this kind of person who had an ex like that, you're just a sweet guy that she's going to end up cheating on anyway. And it makes me so sad. Especially because his character was the kind of character that all the women wanted in Game of Thrones.
I was hoping you could change me into a giraffe. I always wanted to be a giraffe when I was a kid.
It's too bad I can't change sentient beings. It made a very cute giraffe.
So during this conversation, he asks her what everyone's been wondering. If you were supposed to be protecting humanity, why didn't you protect us when Thanos came along, or when all the other things bad happened on Earth that could have ended the human race? And she replies by saying that they were instructed not to interfere unless deviants were involved. Is that right? We know that Thanos is a deviant, but he's also of eternal lineage. That being said, it still makes no sense. Number one, he's still a deviant. Number two, and this is the most important one, these Eternals were put on Earth specifically by Arishem, by a Celestial, to protect the human race. You have this creature who is part deviant that is directly preventing the success of the mission that Arishem ordered the Eternals to do, which is to protect the humans. Now you have this partially deviant creature who is going against the mission, and we learn later that even if Eternals go against the missions, that they are to be punished or killed. So it doesn't matter if he's an Eternal or a deviant. The fact that he is erasing half of life on the planet is a big deal. That is a reason for them to intervene, because it directly falls in line with their mission. So that line of writing makes no fucking sense. Cersei's excuse is if they protected humanity from everything for 7,000 years, they'd never had the chance to develop, except that those specific events in Marvel history would have wiped out humanity as we know it, or would greatly decrease the human population and hinder their development. Another thing that doesn't make sense to me, and I know I'm probably nitpicking, if they say that helping humanity and coming to their rescue all the time is going to hinder their development, and the whole idea is for humans to be developed and to be saved and to prosper, then why is it that the Eternals don't have a problem with the Avengers and a whole bunch of superheroes always saving the humans and coming to their rescue and getting involved in their conflicts? It's almost as though the Eternals exist in a world where the other superheroes don't. And we know that's not the case because Jon Snow and a bunch of other people make it very clear that they do. So it's confusing. Jesus Christ, honestly, the continuity stuff here is just getting my goat. Like, it didn't bother me at first, but then those little questions kept on tinkling through my mind, and I'm like, what the frick is going on? I will say, though, that the designs for these beasts, the deviants, are so freaking beautiful, although I don't know why they're the same color as this guy's suit. Oh, and he shoots, like, fireball projectiles out of his fingers. 'Cause superpowers that have that, I guess that's cool. But now people have guns, so... and missiles. So what is the point of his... okay. Also, there are a shit ton of flashbacks, and I don't know why. I feel like the flashbacks should have been their own thing, but putting them in the movie with these characters that we don't know and then putting tidbits here for 10 freaking characters is way too much. I feel like this whole movie was a trailer for a series that we're supposed to be watching on Hulu or something. We find out that the leader, Ajak, meets this guy, the Arishem, the big stone-faced bionicle dude, and she's like, yeah, but the humans, and he's like, don't get too attached, you know what happens, and we find out later in the mission that there is more to what he sent them to do. It's not just about helping the humans prosper. There is a reason for why they have to do that, and Ajak knows the truth, but the others don't.
You must focus on the true purpose of your mission.
Why would you not tell all the other Eternals the true purpose of their mission? Don't you think when they learn what the true purpose is, they're gonna be like, nah, we shouldn't do that? How are they gonna prepare themselves mentally and physically for the true purpose of the mission if they don't know what it is? Why is only one of them responsible for knowing the true purpose of the mission? We see the engineer guy coming up with things to help the humans, and all the technology apparently that humans have are from the Eternals. So they're going with the whole alien story that the only reason we have technology is because aliens gave it to us. Poor stupid humans in these superhero novels and superheroes universes, I guess they're too stupid, and we didn't come up with stuff ourselves. It has to be aliens, or we have to be mutated somehow. Thanks for taking away one of the only things humans had as a redeeming quality. In this little scene, they kind of try to explain, like, why they didn't just give them the best technology right off the bat. And it's because it would freak them out too much. That's what Sprite says. The person who's not an engineer. She says, oh, it will freak them out and it will do this. And he's like, okay, I won't do the steam engine tilling thing. I'll give them a backhoe or something, or a scythe. Some freaking primitive technology. It's just, God damn it, man. Look, I don't hate this movie. I like this movie, but just so many foolish things. The writing is just so weird.
No telling what wonders they will discover as they advance.
Why do they have to discover anything? You're giving them everything. We get yet another flashback, one of the dozens of flashbacks in this movie of how Sersi and Ikaris met. Ikaris, aka Robb Stark. We can start calling him Ikaris now because I think you get the point. And it turns out that these two were so in love. He loved her, he told her his feelings, she loved him, and they freaking got married. And tickle my armpits, there's a snoo scene. Never expected to see that at the level at which I saw it. And I apparently missed it the first time I saw it, which is weird. I think I was probably looking down or something, and then I looked up and whatever. I don't know, maybe I was half asleep. But I was like, okay, Marvels, this is new. We know who they did that for. But anyway, we could see these two really love each other, but they're not human. So why did Arishem make them with these human emotions and the need to do snoo if they can't procreate? I don't understand. What is the purpose? Then we get another flashback. Holy crap, man. We get to see how all of the Eternals advance throughout the empires and the different ages, and that's when they got married. And yeah, her boyfriend Ware, she's daydreaming about her freaking husband who's sitting in the back seat. By the way, Sprite was really, really happy to see them. That's like her big brother. And she's happy because the whole family's coming together, and they go to meet all the other Eternals. Unfortunately, when they go to their leader's place, Ajak, she is dead. A deviant killed her. The deviant that has her power now. While Sprite and Ikaris are consoling each other, the little circle thing that was inside Ajak that allows her to communicate with Arishem, the big god bionicle thing, goes into Sersi. Oh, I feel the throat of 1,000 gods.
Sersi, it is almost time.
Sprite and Robb come to see if Sersi's okay because she was like completely out of it, and she says that she saw Arishem, and that's what her face was able to speak to him. That's how she was able to speak to him. And Ikaris is like, are you sure that's who you spoke to? Because it could be Mad Wary or whatever the frick it's called. The thing that makes people go crazy when they've had too many memories. And I like that they addressed that, but that's also something that needed its own part of an episode. Like, there's just so much going on. So much information. We get another flashback again. Jesus Christ. And this is where we get to see Druig, the guy who can control minds and bodies, and we get to see a little bit of development of his character. He has the power to make people stop fighting. The weapons that they gave them, they're using it against each other. Like, what did they think was going to happen if you teach them how to make firearms? They can hunt creatures, but you never thought that knowing how humans are, that they would turn on each other and use it against each other too? Humans will take pillows and kill people with it. Why do you... It doesn't matter what you give them. It doesn't matter what you make for them or don't make for them. They will find a way to hurt each other with whatever resource they have. They can off each other with freaking leaves. They can find the most toxic things that make a reaction and then stuff that in people's food or smear it in their eyes and make them explode. Like, you'd have no idea how creative humans can be when they think of ways to hurt each other. Druig, however, is told that he can't interfere and he cannot take away their free will, and he just keeps building up to it. Then we see that Athena is going through a hard time as she's affected by Mad Riri and keeps talking about how there's no time and how they killed other people. This is like a cover for a game. It's so cool. It was such a cool thing. Lighting and everything. Anyway, Gilgamesh, who seems to be in love with her character, Athena, tries to quiet her down and restrain her, but she keeps fighting. And that's what happens when a woman fights a man. Ajax, the leader, is like, we should just erase all her memories to help her. Understandably, Athena doesn't want that. I wouldn't either. That's as good as killing me. Your memories, your experiences are what makes you you. That's why your clone, without any of your memories, isn't you. It's just a clone. It's just a body. So that is as good as killing her. Nobody agrees with this except for Ajax. And she says she wants to keep her memories. But Ajax thinks that eventually Athena is going to end up killing someone. So Gilgamesh decides to take care of her. After all, he's the only one that can break her ass in half. After they talk, everything just seems to be falling apart. Druig, the mind control guy, is like, look, watching them destroy each other, these humans, when I could just stop it in a heartbeat, that weighs on a person after many centuries. Why did Arishem make these freaking guys so freaking emotional if they're supposed to carry out a mission like this? I mean, maybe helping them be empathetic is what they're supposed to do, but we learn later on that Arishem programmed them. So if you could program them, you could program them to carry out a mission to protect humanity without being empathetic. If you made a robot as a security machine, it would protect you at all costs without being empathetic and falling in love with you, and then wanting to kill anybody else who falls in love with you. You see what I mean? So Druig is like, you know what, forget this. I'm going to take over, and nobody does anything about it. He walks off with all these people he's controlling, and everyone's just like, all right, cool. Ajax is like, go about your business, my children. Go live your lives and do whatever you do. Then we get Dinesh looking like a snack. Go Dinesh! What? Jumping back to the present day, the other Eternals are like, we need your help. Ajax is dead. This is where we also meet Karun, and he is so adorable. I love his character. He kind of was let in on the secret when Kingo, his name is Kingo. Yes. Kingo was discovered by him to be a vampire, or that's what he thinks, because he can see all the posters from before where Dinesh, I keep calling him Dinesh, goddamn, Silicon Valley. Kingo doesn't look like he aged like a vampire. He's like, no, that was my dad and my granddad and my grandfather and all that other stuff, but this guy, Karun, is not fooled by that at all. At first, Kingo doesn't want to go because, you know, everyone loves him here and whatnot. But Karun convinces him and decides to go along with him. Since he likes being a movie star, he has Karun videotaping and documenting their life.
I can change a rock into water.
On the plane rides, we see Cersei and her ex playing with a filter and falling in love again. When they arrive in Australia to go see Gilgamesh, they see a dead deviant. I really love Gilgamesh, man. He's so funny. He's actually one of my favorite characters in the movie. I kept forgetting, and I'm like, where did I see him from? He was a character I also loved. And then I remembered Train to Busan and how his performance made me cry. I don't want to spoil it. I think I've only seen him in Korean films. They hit him with the news that Ajax said, he's so cute. He makes me want to cry. Like, seriously, you ever meet people you just want to hug all the time? He takes him out to see Athena, who is always ready at a moment's notice to chop someone's head off. Gilgamesh knows how to calm her down. Kind of funny, because she's like the Hulk, and he is like Black Widow, where he's like, the sun's getting low, and tells her to remember, which calms her down. Then comes the catalyst to the story, where since Cersei is now the ball wearer, she goes before Arishem and he tells her the true purpose of the mission.
It is time for you to learn the true purpose of your mission.
Again, did they base this on the Bible God or something? What in the world? Why are you so freaking cryptic? Like, why not just tell them all from the start what it is? It's like giving someone a pet and letting them fall in love with it, and then after they've bonded with that pet, 2 years later, like, all right, we're gonna kill and eat it. That's the actual reason why we bought this cow to begin with. And you break the child's heart. It would have been better if you told the child early on, hey, honey, we're buying this cow. Don't get attached to it. Don't name it. It is for food. These pets over here are for pets. These pets over here, or these animals over here, are for food only. Once the child can accept that, okay, that's gonna be food, I can still treat it with respect and treat it like a queen so it can have the happiest life before we eat it. They won't be so broken-hearted and rebellious. Arishem says that he actually plants celestial seeds into host planets because apparently celestials have to feed off of intelligent life. These seeds fall deep inside the planet and germinate.
Now, the human population of this planet has reached the required amount.
And because of that, now the thing can be hatched. It has enough energy to now kill everyone. Arishem is not even really a villain. That's just how Celestials are born. And with every Celestial that's born, lots more life is born in the universe. Cersei did not know this. She tried telling him, like, look, the humans are actually interesting creatures. Nope, we're gonna kill them. It is what it is. It turns out that none of them remembered having killed off all the other planets or helping the birth of Celestials on other planets because their memories are wiped each time. Arishem also lets her know that, yeah, Ajax did know the truth when she asks, and she has helped millions of Celestials to emerge over, wow, it must have been a very, very long time. So these guys are probably like ageless. And he says that you did too. All the Eternals, that's what he programmed them for. Turns out these guys are not from Olympia. They were made in the World Forge, or like the little area or something. They were made. They're basically like android robots, kind of. This is what they actually looked like before. Arishem also stored their memory so he could study the deviants. One of the more fascinating things about this movie that I think is one of the saving graces for me personally are the designs of the monsters and showing the alien worlds. So Arishem tells Cersei that he created the deviants at first, like he created them, so that intelligent life could thrive. There were a lot of predators on these worlds, which is kind of stupid because if you kill off all the predators, they won't thrive. The intelligent life won't thrive. Part of why we thrive is because of hostile environments and because we needed to outsmart predators, because we needed to be smarter than what was hunting us or what we needed to hunt. So that logic makes no sense to me, but oh well, Arishem decided that in order for there to be intelligent life, he had to send the deviants and have them kill off all the predators. But there was a problem, as there always is whenever these beings try to create other intelligent life. He says that they evolved. I guess he never counted on them evolving. And they became the very thing that he bred them or made them to exterminate. They started feeding on human beings or feeding on intelligent life that he wanted to have thrive. So he lost control of these things, and he claimed that he built and programmed synthetic beings, the Eternals, to take care of the humans or take care of intelligent life and go up against the Deviants. So I imagine from the Deviants' point of view, they're just trying to survive or doing what they're doing, and then your creator makes a whole bunch of robotic things to go and just exterminate all of you? So does that mean the Deviants are more organic and biological than the Eternals themselves? That would explain why the Eternals themselves also cannot breed? But if he made them incapable of evolution, how is it that they evolved emotionally to do the same things that the humans are doing and adapt to their way of life? That in of itself is a form of evolution. It may not be physical evolution, but it's emotional evolution, moral evolution.
So you're saying we're basically fancy robots?
The group takes a trip to the Amazon. Wait a cotton-picking second.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that? What is that?
In all the other shots of Angelina Jolie, she looks fine. I don't know if that's a body double or it's just the way that the camera, the light just makes her look like she's like twice her size. But as you can see in this scene, she looks fine. In this scene, her dress looks fine. Her hips aren't that wide. But for whatever reason in this scene, it doesn't even look like her. Like the facial structure kind of looks like her. It's baffling me why it looks so different. Objects may be closer than they appear. And apparently objects that are far away look very close. Anyway, they meet up with their other friend, the really old man looking young person, or young person looking old man, can't tell which is which. He's the one who had walked away with all those mind-controlled people, and apparently he does that from time to time, and people are just totally okay with it.
You must not give up hope.
Oh, no, you didn't.
There always has to be that one asshole of the group, but I understand where he's coming from, although I don't agree with him taking away people's free will. He wants humans to have peace. He doesn't want them fighting and hurting each other, but they still need to have their freaking minds to be able to do what they're doing. But I think in this small village, he was able to teach the humans how to get along and basically be their daddy and force them if they don't listen. Everyone is kind of like bonding. And Kingo goes up to Sprite, seeing her watch Icarus and Cersei together. He's like, I don't think it's creepy at all. Then Kingo says that Sprite is basically Tinkerbell, and Icarus is Peter Pan, while Cersei is Wendy, and the rest of them are the Lost Boys.
What's your point?
Tinkerbell's always been in love with Peter. And it's hard for her because she can never be with him. I'm sorry, Sprite.
So her secret's out, at least it's really obvious to Kingo, and she asks him why Arishem made her that way. He doesn't know. Neither do any of us. And we don't ever get the answer, because there is none. It doesn't make sense. I would figure there's a very good freaking reason why you made one of the Eternals a synthetic being, a child, and you made another one deaf. I just don't understand. These are programmed things. Why make them that way? Then give them the ability to emotionally evolve, to develop feelings for the things that you intend on killing. During all of this, and before that, we learned that Icarus and Cersei weren't together because Icarus left her because he had something to do.
There's something else.
Everything's interrupted because we haven't seen action in quite some time, so of course the Deviants have to be there. While they're all fighting off the Deviants, the poor people are being controlled by Mr. Mind Control here, who seems to like using them when it's convenient for him.
Let them go!
Now it's not the time, Cersei.
Please. I know you're better than this.
So let me get this straight. The person who says he cares about humans and doesn't want them to hurt each other has no qualms about using them to defend himself and his friends, killing them in the process. And then someone wants you to protect them by letting them go so they can escape, and you resist. Right. This is the reason I don't trust people.
Rick, ¿qué está pasando? Go! Get to the river!
That's what you should have done a long time ago. And I found it really interesting that the man that came to was asking what was happening. Righteous. This man is not. How many deviants have attacked him in the past that he used these poor people and sacrificed them to kill? What I found even more interesting is that the person who came to knew that Druig had been using them. Apparently, these people were totally fine with that. They knew that Druig would take control of them at times and acted like it was nothing. They wake up in a different place with guns and they're like, Master, is everything okay? What's happening? Because that's basically what's going on. They probably worship him because he's a god, or they see him as a god. So of course they're not mad or scared when they find out that they've been mind controlled. Because remember, this guy started doing this with these people since sometime very long ago in the past BC. We get a recreation of the scene from Godzilla 2014 and the exact scene of the scene from The Revenant. The exact angles, the way the creature behaves, mauling him, putting its full weight on him, clawing at his back. Don't believe me? Take a look at the two scenes. Take a look at the coloring, first of all. The color palette of the scene, the angles, the position that the animal is in versus the position that the human is in, the actions that the animal takes, and tell me they didn't copy the scene for scene from The Revenant. Shot for shot, though? Angle for angle, my guy? I get taking inspiration, but goddamn. Anyway, Cersei has to help her man, and then the creature goes after her, and then something amazing happens. She ends up turning it into a freaking tree. This is new for her because she's not allowed to turn sentient life, or she thought she wasn't able to turn sentient life into freaking objects, and she is. And I have a feeling the reason why they suddenly decided that, you know what? Let's make her able to do this is because she's probably going to have to do it with the Celestial at the end of the movie. It still is never explained, though, how she suddenly has that power, because, you know, she's not allowed to evolve. They're synthetic beings that were made by Arishem with the inability to evolve. Like, make it make sense. Then this eggplant demon, as I call him, with the weird-looking head that swallowed Ajax's powers, ends up killing the favorite character, Gilgamesh, while he was trying to protect Angelina Jolie's character, Thena, when she was having one of her freaking episodes in the middle of all of that, and ended up getting killed as a result. And then this guy, like freaking Thanos, sucks in his power, and not only does he have the power to heal, but now he's, like, super strong. Which doesn't really matter in the end because he doesn't really seem any stronger than he usually is. What it does do, however, is make him evolve even further to be more humanoid and more conscious and very intelligent and able to speak. Oh, he ends up killing Gilgamesh, but he sucked out his power before he was able to do that, which is weird.
We just wanted to survive. And then he sent you. I will kill you all for what you have done to my kind.
Seeing it from freaking Melonhead Eggplant's perspective, you can understand where he's coming from. Arishem did abandon him and his kind, as he said, and he left them to die. And they had to learn to survive. They had to become predators. I don't think they were maliciously targeting intelligent life, but they did what they had to do. No different than life on our planet, no different than what humans do. As horrible as it seems. So it seems that the Eternals in the story are actually the villains. I think in that moment, if they had just stayed and talked to him and apologized and offered to work with him, because now they all have the same vision. They want to prevent the Celestials from coming out or being born, to destroying life, because he and his kind will die as a result too. But then Icarus comes and chases him away before he can finish what he's saying. Gilgamesh had told Thena to remember, so she doesn't have that weird mad weary again. And guess what happens? Him just telling her to remember and her hurting so bad, her terminal illness just goes away. I wish things were like that. The next member of the group, Phastos, I think his name is, who is the engineer, has the grandest story to tell because he is responsible for the bomb that got thrown on Hiroshima. And he suffered so much because of it. I'm telling you, this should have been a TV show, so we could have gotten an introduction to each of these characters per episode. There's so much backstory there, but it's just glossed over and hurried up through so we can get some united front at the end of the movie, which makes no sense. Are we supposed to care about the characters if you just say, hey, by the way, this happened. All right, let's keep moving on. Everything is happening so fast-paced. And when you have so many characters at the forefront of a movie, you need more than just a measly movie 2 hours to get the gist of those characters or even care about them or relate to them. Phastos now lives with his husband and his kid. The kids are from his husband, by the way, because they can't procreate, so I was wondering about that. I don't know why all the people who have melanin are the comedic relief of this movie, but they are. So it's very hard to take them seriously as you do the other characters. Funny how I don't think they realize that what they did, the people who created this movie, because I know they're trying to be inclusive and make a varied cast, which is very cool. But then you make the Indian men and the black men the comedic relief, basically essentially the clowns of the movie, which is like, why? Are their characters not important enough to have serious tones? I can't ever take them seriously. I'm like, oh, it's the funny Indian dudes and oh, that funny black guy. Like, you're trying so hard not to be, you know, that you end up looking that way. And I just think it was a bad move. I think all of them should have had comedic elements when it was required. But even in cases when it's not required, you have the lone black guy and the Indian guy popping jokes. when there are situations where it's not funny, and it's so annoying that they do this.
What the hell is wrong with you? My child is right down the hallway. Fall collection. IKEA.
Fasto says he's done with everything. He doesn't want to do, he just want anything to do with this. And they're pleading to him. His husband cuts in and basically encourages him to go and says he should. His husband knows about him, obviously. And I figured he would have to since you're married.
He's a chronic procrastinator.
I'm not leaving you two. No way.
But after Fastos' husband convinces him, he decides, you know what? Fine. I'll go. Because, after all, if the Celestial bursts out from the earth, we're all gonna die anyway, including my husband and kids. So he says a sweet farewell that I don't even care about because we don't know the characters. This scene looks like two straight guys who were forced into kissing and trying very hard not to think about the fact that they're kissing another guy that they're not interested in.
Why does my heart...
I don't know. Go see a cardiologist. They meet up with the speedster girl, the other Eternal who was given a handicap for some unknown reason as a synthetic species, which despite her being fast would actually hamper her ability to protect humans. But they did try to explain that by saying she could hear every vibration and feel every vibration. So with that type of power, I guess she doesn't need to hear. I think that's a better way of explaining it away. It's a product of her ability, I guess. But all the other ones can hear, so wouldn't it make sense to allow her to be able to hear and be fast as well? I don't get it. Whatever. Half the time, if she's moving so freaking fast, she can't perceive sound anyway, so. Apparently her and Littlefinger have a, Jugi, what's his name? Crap. Druig. Yeah. Druig. Apparently her and Druig have a thing together that we didn't really pick up because, again, they're rushing past all these characters, so we never, let me continue. They make a half-assed plan to have Druig put the thing to sleep, Tiamat, the Celestial, so much freaking information, by amplifying his mind control powers with this Unimind thing that Fastos, the engineer, is going to make and give them all bracelets so they can all connect to each other, because that's what happens anyway when the Celestial is being born from all the other worlds. Basically, they're all going to try to put the thing to sleep or kill it or what have you. It's really not important, and there's so much freaking sauce from this overload of information that it should have been its own episode. Icarus is having some issues, and we find out that he is actually the one who killed Ajax. He was trying to be loyal to his mission, and that doesn't necessarily make him a villain, but it is very sad. He kept it from all the others. He's kind of like Omni-Man in this, but except for, like, wanting his kid to be one of his race and having the race protect all the people and come in and conquer them, he believed in the whole thing Ajax taught them, which was to bring an end to certain life so that other life can begin. Icarus had lured Ajax to an area where the Deviants had popped out. He is the one that found out that the Deviants had come back. They had been surviving all this time, and Ajax realizes what's happening. But she's not even mad at Icarus, because she understands she's the one who helped lead him down this path. He's like a son to her, and he's only doing what she raised him and taught him to do, what he was made for. Actually, she didn't raise him. Arishem made them, but she's the one that pushed forward with this all this time. So he pushes her, and she can't fight off all the Deviants, so they end up killing her, and of course, they evolve, get her power, and Eggplant Head leads the others into their journey to survival. The reason the Deviants were targeting the Eternals is because when they came back and they evolved slightly, well, they realized that they cannot ever live if the Eternals are going to try and kill them. They now have consciousness and understand that the Eternals are responsible for killing all of their kind. Seeing how painful this was for Icarus to do makes me intrigued with his character, because you realize he's not a villain, he's just doing what he believes is right. But then there are a lot of villains who do stuff in the name of doing them because they think it's right. Morality has changed, and maybe in their species this is the right thing to do because they can see the grand picture. In the end, everybody's trying to survive and do the right thing for the most part. Now we're in the present day, and Cersei knows that he doesn't agree with the plan. But she's the leader. Then Omni-Man goes all Superman, which is funny because in this movie, a Marvel movie, they acknowledge Superman from the DC universe. their opponent. Either they're trying to downplay it by saying in their movie Superman's just a fairy tale, or I don't really understand what the purpose of that was. Did DC allow them to say that? Like, what? I've never heard that before. I've never heard Marvel name drop a DC character in their own freaking movie.
Jack, that's Superman. Jack, that's Superman.
Jack, it's really funny, Jack.
No,
that is
no,
definitely not Superman.
He is Superman. I saw him on TV. He was in London fighting a monster. And you were with the cape and you were shooting laser beams out of your eyes.
I don't wear a cape.
Marvel, what is up with that? I mean, it wasn't just a name drop. As you can see there in the clip, this little kid was going on about it, excited about Superman. And then Icarus says, I don't wear a cape. So are they acknowledging that Superman exists in the Marvel universe as a DC character? Like, I am so confused. Both me and my partner were like, what the frick is going on? This is so out of place. Especially for Marvel. So I did look it up after, and it says that the Eternals director Chloe Zhao explains the film's reference to Superman, saying that it's their way of paying tribute to the character's mythology. It's probably the last time you're ever gonna do another movie for Marvel. I mean, I think it's cute, but can you imagine? Can you imagine being in a Ford dealership and then you do a commercial saying, hey, look, it's a freaking Toyota. Isn't that awesome? Wow. And then you say, well, it's, you know, it's just us paying tribute to Toyota. Do you think you'd still be working there? Now, I personally don't mind, but I could see how it would be very confusing and a problem for the fans and for the continuity of the two different, you know, they're like completely two different things, two different existences. As far as I know, DC characters don't mention Marvel characters, and Marvel characters don't mention DC characters. You acknowledging that there's a Superman means there's a Superman. So where's he been all this time? Like, what's going on? Anyway, the emergence begins, and Icarus decides that he's going to be apart from the group and try to stop them. He doesn't want to have to hurt his friends, but the mission is more important. It is what he was programmed for. And Sprite goes along with him because she's in love with him. The others do their Unimind thing. We get a Red Rush thing that I know is going to end up like the Omni-Man scene, but then it doesn't. And then Eggplant Head Deviant shows up, and I'm like, I started cheering. I'm like, yes, he's going to fight alongside the people who are trying to stop the emergence. But it turns out he's not, which is weird, because don't you see they're on your side? That they will, yeah, I just fucking, oh god. And Sprite literally stabs Cersei in the back after fooling her with one of her illusions. Eggplant corners Thena, and she goes into one of her episodes until he utters the word remember, but not even in that context. And then she's like, oh wait, the word remember, the last word that Gilgamesh said, I remember now. Slice you up to pieces. And then that character just falls apart, literally. And that's the end of that character. They let him up. They built him up. What? Why? Ah! God! It just... I can say this is a sad character death, but I haven't processed it fully to even feel sad. I just feel outraged. Because they were literally building up that character and evolving that character. And he's not a hero, he's not a villain, he's just a person who wants to survive. He was used by this thing, and he's like, I want to survive. And he was taking their powers so he could help them survive. And then he just gets sliced. That's the end of that character. And I'm like, what? Why? I don't even understand. Then there's a sweet part at the end when Icarus finally meets up with Cersei. And you can see him visibly fighting because she's freezing or turning the Celestial into stone all by herself or with the help, I don't even know. But he can't kill her and he realizes, holy shit, I am so in love, I am having a problem killing this woman that I love more than anything else in existence. And he decides that, you know what, I have done so much, I can't, and he lets her do her thing. He just has memory after memory of how they were happy, of getting to know her, of getting married. And in the end, she turns the character, or the Celestial, to stone or to ice, whatever the frick it's supposed to be. Icarus loves Cersei so much and feels so much guilt and probably doesn't any longer have a purpose that he blasts off from Earth feeling horrible about what he did and literally flies himself into the sun to end his life. And I knew that was going to happen. From the time they call him Icarus, I already knew he's going to fly into the sun at some point. I mean, That's not even foreplay. Not foreplay. What do you call it? Oh my god. What the frick do you call the word? Foreshadowing. Thank you. I don't know why I'm missing my words today. But yeah, it's foreshadowing. Or it's not even foreshadowing. It's just there. Like, it's just obvious. You can't have someone named Icarus and not associate him with the sun at some point. Then they're like, you know what, we're still connected to the Celestial Tiamat, so we're still all unified and have, like, our superpowers now. So because of that, Cersei tells Sprite, the Child Eternal, that I can make you human. I can make you grow now and do whatever, and that's great, even though this bitch just stabbed her in the back, but okay, makes her human, but they never consider asking the speedster if she wants to be able to hear when she's not flying around at high speeds. It doesn't matter. Also, I found it interesting, and I'm glad they didn't do that, but the Superman character, Icarus, he did not have a lot of speed. Like, when that speedster was messing around with him, he was having a hard time. So, he's nowhere near Superman. And as far as I know, he's not, like, super strong like Superman is either. He can just fly and spit laser out of his eyes. Yeah, whether he wants to make fun of Superman for wearing a cape, Superman is way stronger than that guy. Then because her lover's not around, she's like, oh, you know, Dane, you. And then the heroes that are not in the ship get taken away by the Celestial and says that he'll spare them. He'll spare the humans if, you know, the humans tear each other apart. He's going to come back and reap judgment on them. Which doesn't make sense because they were never there for you to judge them or for them to worship you. They were there as batteries so that they could grow in intelligence and intellect to feed the thing and get killed anyway. So why does that matter? Why would you put judgment? Oh, so disconnected. And then later we find out that Jon Snow has some kind of lineage. He was trying to tell Cersei that before she got kidnapped or abducted about his lineage, and we never get to know what it is. And then they have this end scene about him discovering the lineage with the sword. And we're going to find out who he is, but we never get to know who he is because he gets stopped by this dude. God knows who the frick he's supposed to be. Then the other post scene before that one had this other dude come in who's apparently another hero or eternal or what have you, and yay, let's go save everyone. And apparently he's supposed to be a new character that's important, but I don't care. And that's the end of the movie. So, okay, listen. This should have been a TV show, or this should have been streaming on some kind of platform with a season or two. It did not feel like it was meant to be a movie. There's just too much packed in. Certain things just didn't make sense. It felt like someone was making the story up as they went along. And the other thing I kept on thinking is, at the end, I did say I'd come back to this. So, apart from the whole deviant part that makes no sense, right? I kept thinking to myself, did Thanos know that this was going to happen? Because he's part Eternal and part deviant. Did he know that the Celestial was going to come? Is that what happened to his planet? But if he's part Celestial and deviant? Okay, so he was born in a planet. Anyways, he had a past, he had a history with his planet. Is that what happened to his planet? He claimed that it was resources, and there got to be too much, and when the population was too much, the planet just got torn to shreds. Why? Did a Celestial bust out from their planet? You know, like, it just looks like the planet is scorched when we see him talking with Doctor Strange, but what if his planet was annihilated because a Celestial was being born? And because he knew what was going to happen, he halved all life in the universe so that other Celestials would never be born. So that the balance would always be there between life thriving and the Celestials not annihilating life. What if Thanos was the good guy and secretly knew this? And that's why he was willing to sacrifice everything, including Gamora, who was the only person he ever really loved. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really gives you something to think about. But then there's all these other inconsistencies, like I already said, like, okay, if they were superheroes and superheroes were not a private thing, why did they stay private? It's just weird. It's just weird. I just feel like the Eternals is some kind of offshoot of Marvel that should have been in its own universe away from the Avengers and all of that. Otherwise, when you wrap the Eternals up with the Marvel universe in this existence, it makes no flipping sense. That's all I have to say. Was it a horrible movie? I didn't feel that way when I was watching it, but there were a lot of questions that I thought were going to get answered, and it's not that I need questions to be answered completely, but they have to make sense. It can't just feel like you threw them in for the sake of furthering the plot, you know? That's kind of a sense of plot armor as well. It was a very disjointed and fragmented movie. It felt like it was a trailer. A 2-hour trailer for a series. Just saying. It felt like it needed 3 or 4 movies, and they crammed it into one. It was a failure. This creature I nickname the Lunaut. It is a creature that causes distortion with the oscillating colors on its gills on either side of its body. Its hide is thick and rubbery, and it's actually on the smaller size, about the size of a horse. This creature was once a terrestrial or planet-wide creature. Somehow, they either were brought to rocky planets or moons, or ended up there. I wonder how that happened. They seem very primitive in their behavior, at least from what we can see. They can jump quite high and are very nimble, especially when there's low gravity. These creatures can only exist in low-gravity celestial bodies. The main features we know about them right now is that they are very strange, can be very hostile if you get too close, and adapt super quickly. Just like the Deviant in that stupid movie we just watched. Anyway, that's my honest opinion. Oh dear. I don't feel so good. Feels so much better. I guess those were growing pains. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is going to be really fun. New year, new evolution, new body. I wonder what is next for me and for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Altiori. You ask, we answer.